Kingdom Come Deliverance took a lot of creative liberties when designing all of the various mechanics in the game in order to stand out against the other open-world RPGs in the market today. Because you got 3 different ways to handle persuasion. You got haggling, alchemy, you can pickpocket and lockpick, and you got bows and swords and maces and halberds, and I run out of breath just talking about them. So while there's so many different things to do in this game, it's clear that not every aspect is going to be completely perfect. Case in point, the combat. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the game, you got 5 directions you can attack from, as well as a center stab, and the basic idea is that you attack in the direction that the enemy is open. Kinda like Skyward Sword, but without motion controls. And once you level up enough and get the right perks, you can do combinations of directional attacks to execute a combo that does a bit more damage, and you get this cool looking animation showing you that you did it right. On top of this, you can defend, getting what's called a perfect block if you time it just right, which usually lets you get another free hit in. But if you time your block even better, you'll get what's called a master strike, which is like a perfect block and a counterattack in one. And all this seems like really cool and interesting stuff. Like, they obviously spent a very long time thinking about it and developing it, but when you add in the RPG elements, it can be kind of frustrating for new players. When you're fighting stronger enemies, it can seem like they perfect block or master strike every other swing you throw out, meaning you can't mindlessly spam attack and be all that successful. A lot of what's going on in the combat system is actually just comparisons of your stats with your opponent's stats. And what's created by this is actually more akin to a classic turn-based system, similar to Pokemon or Final Fantasy or something. When you or the enemy attacks, that's like their turn, and the second turn is you or your enemy reacting to that attack, and ends when you go back to a neutral state. It's a turn-based system masquerading as an action system, and that's part of the reason people dislike it. They expect it to be one thing, and when it doesn't go the way they think it should, they get angry, and they forget that this is an RPG, and stats definitely matter. But there are some legitimate issues with the combat in this game. And this video is just a long brainstorm session on how to fix them. But I've never made a game, and am in no way qualified to actually suggest these solutions, nor am I claiming to be smarter than anyone watching this. This is just what I think, and I felt like making a video, so here we go. That was a very pitiful clap. Okay, before I get into the more complicated stuff, I'm just gonna mention my one-trick pony to fix bows. See, the problem in a nutshell is that bows are overpowered. This is because you can often get away with running from the enemy and shooting arrows at them until they die. You don't even have to run sometimes, you can just stand still and shoot at them. Yeah, you get hit, but the bow does a lot of damage as well, so you only need to get 2 or 3 arrows in before they drop to their knees. And this is really cheesy and bad, and it shouldn't be this way. They tried to negate this tactic by making enemies quick to catch up with you and making the bow slow to pull back, as well as just how hard it can be to aim the thing, but it wasn't enough. The way to fix this is to stun the player substantially when they get hit trying to pull their bowstring. Like, knock Henry to the ground, or at least shake him up a bit, and let the enemy get a good few swings in there. Because that's what would happen in real life. Like, you're standing there trying to aim a bow at a fully armored human like 2 feet away. You know that you should get knocked around. Like, at least something more than nothing. Punish the player for trying to cheese the system. So in a fight, if you get close to someone, you go into this weapon lock state. And you quickly press attack, and depending on your stats, you can win the clinch, punching them away and stunning them for a short while, which allows you to get a free hit in. Of course, this leads to people abusing the heck out of the system and just getting enemies in a loop of clinching, knocking them away, attacking, clinching, and so on and so forth. Just back them into a corner and go to town on them. It's a big reward for the small amount of effort it takes to initiate a clinch, so I think we either need to make clinches a lot more difficult to get or lower the reward. Or both, I guess. I don't know. I'm strict. I don't want people to actually have fun with the game. So firstly, to make them more difficult to get, I'm thinking sort of like a well-timed slash, similar to a perfect block, I suppose. I also think this is more realistic than walking up to someone and just automatically locking swords with them. Once you are in a clinch, it would play out similarly to how it is in the vanilla game. You hit attack as fast as you can, depending on your stats you'll win or lose. What that entails has to be different though. Instead of stunning the enemy long enough for you to get another hit in, I would just knock the enemy away and not give the player enough time to follow up on it. Maybe even if you win a clinch, your stamina gets pretty much drained and you can't swing your sword anymore. To this effect, the only use that winning clinches would have would be to get space for yourself and reset the combat situation to neutral. This would make the range differences in weapons a bit more prevalent. In addition, maybe knocking one person into other enemies would make them stumble a bit. So this could allow for a bit of crowd control power, but it would never win you a fight. Combos were a cool idea, but because of the enemy's ability to Master Strike and Perfect Block, combos can be difficult to pull off. You get 1 or 2 hits of the combo in, and then the bandit Master Strikes you. God forbid you try to attempt a 4-hit combo. Furthermore, combos are by no means necessary to play this game in its entirety. I mean, I honestly barely use them myself. Now this is a bit of a radical solution, but I propose getting rid of the special combos altogether. They just don't work with this system that discourages overly aggressive play. Instead, I think this combat system could benefit from a more freeform combo approach. In the vanilla game, when you get a hit in, the enemy stumbles a bit, but then instantly regains his footing, and that's not all that realistic. In this idea, however, they would stay stumbled for a bit longer, allowing you to assess their stance and take another swing at their least defended area. But with each successive hit, the timing could be tighter and tighter, making it more difficult to get, say, a 4-hit combo than a 2-hit one. Additionally, this could easily tie into your agility or weapon skill. The higher your stats, the longer your enemy would be stunned, making it easier to get another hit in. But of course, if you fight an enemy that's particularly more powerful than you, it's unlikely you could get more than 1 or 2 swings in with every opening. Likewise, if you fight a weaker opponent, it would be easier for you to chain strikes together and end the fight after 1 opening. This system change might get away from the realism a bit, but I think it would make combos useful, at least. Because to me, a lot of the combat system is trying to get an opening to attack your opponent. I think the combo system should be more of a reward for getting that opening and then stretching it as far as you can. This game also gets flack for a few other things, but I don't think they're worth changing. People say that fighting multiple opponents is too difficult because of the lock-on system, and some would say that they want it completely unlocked, like in Skyrim or something. I wholeheartedly disagree with this because of the fact that this game strives for realism. If there were 3 or 4 guys coming out of the bushes to wreck you up, even if you're in full plate armor, it would be very difficult to defend yourself against everyone at once. This also adds a good reason to keep moving during combat, because you don't want to get surrounded and have people attack from behind you can't even see. The lock-on system simulates the fact that you can only focus on one person at a time realistically. I thought about writing up a way to adjust mounted combat so that it can't be abused as much, but as I thought about it, I realized that this is another realism factor. As cheesy as shooting people with a bow while you ride your horse is, that would be overpowered in real life as well. Perhaps a balancing agent is to give bandits and/or humans horses as well sometimes? Maybe in Band of Bastards DLC? but I guess I can live with this type of cheese in the game. A lot of people agree that mace is overpowered and it's the best way to play the game because it does a lot of armor damage, where swords do significantly less armor damage. Yet again, this can be attributed to realism. Just complain about it all you want, a mace is just a better weapon against an opponent in plate armor, in real life and in KCD. If I had to change them, I guess I would shorten the range on maces even more and maybe make them a bit less powerful, but I think the balance isn't worth modifying. So in conclusion, the combat system as it stands isn't perfect, but it's certainly not a steaming pile of garbage like some would suggest it is. There's just 3 things I would change. Punish the player for trying to cheese with the bow, nerf clinches by making them into a space maker, and get rid of special combos in favor of creating your own. I'm not guaranteeing that these things would fix the system and make it absolutely perfect, but it's just some stuff to think about. I love the RPG elements present in the game, and I love how challenging it is. I love the fact that I can still die when I'm level 20, but I believe these few things could be improved upon. If not in the ways I described, then by some other method. But as it stands, I mean, flawed and all, I still love this combat system. So thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a nice day, or evening, or night, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this video. I hope it's good. See ya.